Hello, my name is Alexandros Lavdas. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm a senior researcher at the Institute for Biomedicine in Eurac Research in Bolzano in Italy, and also a member of the board of directors of the Human Architecture and Planning Institute in Massachusetts in the USA. I'm going to share some thoughts with you today about the possibility that suboptimal visual environments can negatively affect cognitive development of children. Now, it's very difficult to have concrete conclusions about such an issue, but we do have a number of indications. First, there's this surprising finding from two studies that children born during the pandemic have significantly reduced cognitive performance compared to those born before the pandemic. Well, of course, there are many. To begin with, this is a preliminary report, and also there are many parameters that can play into that. So it's difficult to say where it comes from. At the same time, we know that sensory deprivation of whatever form has serious consequences in the development of children. We have data from children who had spent time in orphanages in Romania during the time of the communist dictator Ceausescu, and these children were eventually adopted and they were followed many years later, and despite the fact that they lived in enriched environments in the intervening years, the infant environmental deprivation was associated with lower total brain volume, and also in a dose-dependent way, lower IQ, more attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder symptoms, etc. Again, it's very difficult to say what were the contributing factors. We know that sensory deprivation was one of them, but there were others, and I'm not suggesting that it's the architecture to blame, or at least exclusively to blame. We have data from animal experiments that clearly show that sensory deprivation, especially in the visual system, has very tangible effects in the brains of these animals. At birth, a baby's brain is about 25% of its adult size, and the number of neurons does not change much after that, but synapses, the connections between neurons, multiply rapidly. Then, after the age of 2, what is called synaptic pruning starts. So some neuronal connections that are important are consolidated, and their synapses preserved and strengthened, and other early synapses are eliminated. And this selective pruning is influenced by neuronal activity by way of positive feedback. So sensory input from environmental complexity essentially shapes the synaptic profile. Those that are used repeatedly become permanent, and the connections they mediate are strengthened, while those that are not perish in the process of activity-dependent synaptic remodeling. All in all, we know this. Sensory input is important for normal, healthy brain development. Sensory deprivation is detrimental for that development. The question is, does minimalism in architecture and design constitute a type of sensory input deprivation for children such that their development would be impeded in some way? Thank you very much for your attention and for the honor and pleasure of participating in this meeting.